Let's talk about 8 Cubase mixing tips to increase your workflow. What is going on, my friends? Chris Selim here from MixDowne Online. If you are new here on the channel, feel free to subscribe to the channel and to click the notification bell so you don't miss anything. And for all of you, share and like if you enjoy this video. Okay, let's talk about those mixing tips. The workflow is something very important when mixing. If you want to speed up your mixing time, the time it takes for you to mix a song, having tools to work with that will increase your workflow is gonna be very useful. And those are what I want to share with you today. So if you are using Cubase, you are definitely gonna love this one. So let's jump in Cubase and start with tip number 1. Import tracks from project. Now, this is an amazing feature that we have in Cubase that was implemented in version 10, but they upgraded it in version 10.5, and now it is like for me, it's a kind of a no-brainer. I use this feature on a regular basis. Let's check my mix session here. I have this channel. Okay, so this is KS New York, which is a parallel compression effects channel track that I use for kicks and snare. I have my UAD DBX 160. Let's say I don't want to use this plugin, but I want to go back to one previous mix that I did not too long ago, where I use another plugin chain to achieve the same type of effect. So I want to go back and import that channel straight into this mix session. So what I'm going to do is first to go into File, click on Import, and click on Tracks from Project. Then I'm going to look for my other mix project where I want to import that channel into my new project. So let me check. I'm going to open this project, which is the one that I'm looking for. And then it is going to show me the import options window. So I have all of the tracks listed on the left side of this window. Those are all the channels that I have on this old mixing session. And now I'm going to choose the channel or the track that I want to import into my current mixing session. In this case, it is this one. It has the same name. So I kind of always use the same name structure most of the time for these effects channel tracks. So I'm going to select this one. And then I'm going to check the destination track. So this is actually the track it is going to create in my current mix session. Now I have the choice between a new track, and I also have the choice to select an existing channel in my current session. So I can only import the data of that channel into the current one, and this is very powerful. So let me show you. So if I keep this one, the destination track, at new track, what this is going to do, it's going to import this selected channel into my current mix session on its own. Okay, so I'm going to have like one extra channel that is going to be this one imported straight into my current session, which can be what I want, but in this case, this is not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking to do in this case is to only import the data of that channel into my current one, in the one I'm using on the current mixing session. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on New Track, and I'm going to select the channel, okay, the track where I want to import that data into. So it has the same name, like I told you. I most of the time use the same name structure. And so I can simply select this channel. So I'm going to import into the destination track all the data from the source track. That simple. Something else that you can also do, if you have the same name structure going on from the source project to the destination project, you can simply click on Select Matching right here. And that will, by itself, it's going to find that track in the destination project that has the same name as the one that you want to import. And there you go, it's gonna select it right away. Now, if I look on the right side, the channel and inspector settings is gonna be checked on. If you were to import instead of an effects channel track or a group track, if you were to import an audio track, that is possible. You have the choice then to also import the events and parts of that specific audio channel that you want to import into your session. And also, even for this effects channel track, I can also import the automation from this channel if I want to. So this is also something very useful. So once I am done, I can just click on OK and check on the left side of the window what is going to happen to this effects channel track. Now I have my new plugin chain that replaced the original plugin that was inserted on this channel. So this kind of feature helps me a lot with my mixing workflow. Every time I need to go into a project to import the data of one channel or several channels, or just to import one or several channels at the same time into my current project, I just use this feature, and everything is done in a very quick time. Now let's jump on tip number 2. Using more than one mix console. Yes, you heard me. In Cubase, we have the choice of 3 mix consoles to work with. If we click on Studio on top, as you can see, we have the regular MixConsole, and we also have MixConsole 2, MixConsole 3. Okay, so it allows us to work with several MixConsoles. This can be useful, especially in a situation where you have more than one computer monitor. You can actually set up one of the MixConsoles to, let's say, just to show the group channel tracks, for example. So let's open my MixConsole number 2. And let's bring this one and set this one up to, so it only sees the group channels. And this is what I'm going to get. I can actually bring that one to my second monitor, or I can do the same for inputs, your input channels, which can be practical, especially when recording. Also, let's take the other one, the other mixed console. And this one, let's click on configuration right here, and I'm going to select all the effects channel tracks, and there you go. So now I have 3 mix consoles. So that can be useful. That can be useful to speed up your workflow for sure. Again, very useful if you have more than one computer monitor. Now, talking about the MixConsole, my good friend Dom Segal has made an awesome video not too long ago sharing tips on the MixConsole. So if you want to take a look, I'm going to leave the link down below. Let's jump on tip number 3. Let's use the MixConsole in the project window by activating the lower zone right here on top. So by activating the lower zone, you will have that zone at the bottom. And at the bottom left of that zone, we have the MixConsole tab. And there you go. Now I have a version of the MixConsole visible from the lower zone of my project window. You can actually resize this zone if you want to. So this can be also very useful if you prefer to work from the project window when you mix. This way you always have a visual of the MixConsole in the same window. So that can also be very useful. Let's jump on tip number 4. Using zones in the MixConsole. All right, so now let's open the MixConsole. Now for this feature, this is something that I get a lot of questions on, and I actually made a specific video a couple of years ago talking about this feature only. So there it is. As you can see, when I browse within my channels on my MixConsole, I have some channels on the right side and the left side of my MixConsole that are staying static. They're not moving. So this is a very cool feature that we have in Cubase. So basically how that works, you need to make sure that the left zone is open. The left zone, you can activate it by clicking on the show and hide left zone on the top right of the MixConsole. And that will open up the left zone. Then you have 2 tabs at the bottom. One is channel and the other one is zone. So select zones. Now you have the list of channels on the left, and you have three dots here, okay? Three circled icons. The one in the middle is the default channel position. This is where the channels are in the middle of those three zones. And then we have the channel to left edge and also the attached channel to right edge. And so if, for example, I want to bring my reference track, now my reference track is set up to be attached to the left edge of the mix console. So that's why it is right here to the left, and it's not moving when I move the center channels. Okay, and same for the right end of the mix console where I have all of my instrument buses. If you look closely, all of them are straight going to the attached channel to right edge. And that's why they are not moving and they are staying static on the right side of my mix console. Very, very practical. Something else that you can do, since we already talked about having the mix console, a visual of the mix console in the project window. Once you have your layout set up, okay, with your the left edge and the right edge of your mix console, you can click on top right here, the Sync Mix Console and Project. Make sure this is active, so this way, once you get back to the project window, you will have the same layout from the mix console down in the lower zone. Okay, so don't forget, you just need to go on top right here and click on Sync Project and Mix Console. You can also do this for Mix Console number 2. If you want the second Mix Console to be the one that shows in the lower zone, just select Mix Console number 2 to this sync visibility option here. Okay, so this is how you can work this out for the lower zone. Let's jump to tip number 5, using custom key commands. Key commands are super important to increase your workflow when recording, when editing, and especially when mixing. Something that I'm going to suggest you to do is to learn the default Cubase key commands. I'm going to leave a link down in the description if you want to download the main default key commands that Cubase has to offer. Now, not all Cubase commands have a default key command already set up. Some key commands will have to be set up separately, so you'll need to set those up yourself. So if you have like any types of commands that you are using on a regular basis, you can use the key command window. If you go right on top and click on Edit, you'll go down to Key Commands, and that will open the key commands window. And this is where you're going to have a list, the full list of commands that Cubase has to offer. I'm going to just share with you a couple of commands that I use on a regular basis that I had to create myself. One of them is Quick Link, the Q Link option. This is found right here on the top of the mix console. Also, if you go to the bottom, the lower zone, the mix console lower zone in the project window, you also will have the Q link. If you don't see this window in the lower zone, make sure that the mix console toolbar is active, and you'll be able to just click on the show and hide toolbar to make it appear. Okay, so this is where you're going to find the Q link. Now, the Q link is very useful if you want to select several channels and all together. And let's say I just want to bring down the volume of those channels. Now, if I don't want to link them permanently, I can use a quick link and just, bring down those channels at the same time for a quick edit, and then just deactivate the Q link and continue mixing. So Q-Link is something very, very practical. So what I did is I created myself a key command. So I went into key commands and I looked for Q-Link. So you basically gonna find Q-Link under Mixer. That's simple. And Q-Link is right here. So you can search for the command, and most of the time it's going to lead you to the specific command. You select it, and then you just click on this black space right here. And then click on some keys on your keyboard that you want to assign that command to, and click on Assign, and that's it. Now mine is set up to Alt and Q. So if I click on Alt and Q, it is going to activate the Q link. Another very cool feature that I love to use in Cubase is to create a bus channel or a group channel track, an effects channel track, or a VCA channel to selected tracks. So I have those 4 tracks already selected. If I right click, I'm going to get that option, which is add group channel to selected channels. And this is an option that I use a lot during mixing. So I had to create myself a key command to speed up my workflow. And this is what I did. So let's say I want to add a group channel track to selected track. What I have to do, and this is the one I set up for myself, is to click on Control-Shift+G, and that will create a group channel track. And this is very cool. I have this window popping on, and I can create that channel track. And if I click on Add a Track, the output of those channels are going to be routed straight into that new group channel track. So if I want to do the same for an effects channel track, I set that up to Control-Shift and F for effects channel track. And this is what it shows. And it works perfectly. So now let's say I want to add a VCA fader to those selected tracks. Same thing, I'm going to click on Control-Shift and V, and that will create a VCA channel for these channels by using only a shortcut. To set that up, what I did, again, I went into the key commands window, and under Mixer, you will find the Add Track to selected effects channel, group channel, and VCA channel. And this is where I assign those to my specific key command. Very, very cool. So that helps me to increase my workflow like crazy. Another key command that I created on my side is to go from one mixer to the other mixer, like we saw earlier. The default key command to get to the MixConsole is F3. What I did to get to the second MixConsole is Shift F3, and that is going to bring up my MixConsole number 2. And for MixConsole number 3, I set that up to Control or Command F3. And there you go. So this is how I can go from one MixConsole to another using a key command. Key commands are very useful and in my opinion are very important to learn and to set up on your own for the main commands that you use on a regular basis. Now let's look at the next tip. Create folders to manage your favorite plugins. This is something that I like a lot about Cubase, is to be able to manage your plugin so you don't get lost when it's time to insert a plugin, and especially if you have like a bunch of plugins installed on your system. So for example, if I click on Insert on this channel, this is what I get. I set myself up a Chris favorite collection, and this is what I have. So within folders, I have all my favorite limiters, transient designers, gates, de-essers, channel strip, delay, reverb, tape, emulation plugins, console, emulation plugins, saturation, compression, and EQ. So every time I want to get an EQ, I'm just going to go and check my list of favorite EQs that I love to work with. All of them are going to be there instead of browsing within the regular effects plugin list. So I just set myself a Chris favorite, and this time it's so fast to get to my top favorite plugins. I can insert a plugin in a matter of time, which increases my workflow. So to do so, what you need is to go to a Studio, go down to VST Plugin Manager, and on top here, on the top right, you'll be able to create yourself a new collection. So let's create a new one. I'm going to create an empty one. Call this one Test. I'm going to click on OK, and then I can just drag and drop any plugin that I want. Okay, and I can also, of course, create a folder. So let's call this folder Test 2. Okay, so that is going to be a folder within my collection, and I can also drag and drop any plugin straight to this folder. So this is how I create myself different folders, like one for compressors, the EQs, delays, and so on. And I just drag and dropped all my plugins related to those folders. So you need to take the time to do the job once, and afterward, you'll always have access to your favorite plugin collection in Cubase. Very useful. Let's go to the next tip. I'm gonna go back on the project window and let's look at the top here. We have some channels and I talked about that on other videos. But this is the divide track list option, which divides your project window into two different sections. So there's going to be the main section and the top section here, where you can have and insert some channels that are going to stay static. So this is also very, very useful when producing, recording, and mixing. I love that tool. I use it all the time. So what I do is my reference channel, I'm going to leave it on top, and also my marker channel. If I have an extra ruler channel, it is going to also be on top. And same for channels like signature channels, tempo channels, arranger, track, and so on. Those channels are going to stay on top. So I always have a visual of, in this case, of my marker track, which is so useful. So this is how you can do it. You click on this little icon here, which is the divide track list icon. And by doing so, in my case, it's going to make the upper track list disappear. But if I want to bring it back, again, I'm just going to need to click on this divide track list icon. And there you go. You'll be able to just drag and drop the channels that you want to be static on top. Okay, very simple. You can also resize this section if you want. So very, very cool tool to work with. Now to the last mixing tip. Color grade your tracks. Something that I do all the time. It's actually part of my mix template. I have some color codes for all of those channels. The effects channels will have their own colors. Same for my drums. The drums will be in blue. Okay, and the darker shades of blue will be for group channel tracks that are serving my drum channels. Okay, they're gonna have a darker tone of blue, and so on. Then I have my bass instruments that will be in a darker tone of pink. I have also light blue for acoustic guitars, orange for my electric guitars. That's probably because I recorded so many guitars with the orange amp that I have in the other room. So I have them set up to orange. Then I have keyboards and pianos, which are in a kind of a purple type of color. Then my lead vocals, yellow, and back vocals green. My instrument buses will have a gray tone, and my stereo mix bus will have a dark gray tone. That helps me a lot when mixing to identify which group of instruments are in front of me. So very easy to go from one group of instruments to the other. To color grade your channels, what you need to do is to first select the channels you want to color grade, then click on top. You will see the icon, which is going to bring up your color palette. And then you simply choose the color of your choice, and that color is going to be applied to your selected channels. That simple. Now, if you're wondering how I was able to build that color palette, it's not too complicated. You click on Project, you go down to Project Colors Setup, and this is where you'll be able to create yourself your own custom color palette. It's not too complicated. It takes a bit of time, but it works pretty well. Now, if you want to download my own color palette, just click on the link down below, and you'll be able to download my Cubase project, an empty Cubase project that has this color palette, so you can use it on your own. The link is down below. You can also color grade your channels individually if you want to, and this can be done straight from the MixConsole by clicking on that select a color icon, and you pick the color of your choice. And also from the project window, if you just click on Shift or Control on the right end of the channel, you will have access to the color palette, and you'll be able to pick and choose the color of your choice for that single channel. I encourage you to color grade your own tracks with the colors of your choice. There you go, my friends. I hope those tips were helpful. If so, share, like, and subscribe to this channel if you are new here. If you have any questions, comments, or if you want to share your own mixing tips, you can leave everything down below in the comment section. Also, if you like Cubase tips like these, check out my online course, The Ultimate Guide to Cubase, designed to help you get control over the software. All right, my friends, take care, and until next time, see you.